Is wellness still wellness if it's burning you out? That's the question for today's episode on health and wellness. Today, something that's happening in the wellness industry is something creeping up on all of us, which is perfectionism. Whether it's cold plunges, glucose monitors, breath work, or what have you, we all feel the need to strive for perfection in this area. Is it something that's really helping us if it's that much work?
Honestly, when I first got here, just made me think about this because you guys have a Sprouts here and we don't have that in Canada. But when I got here and we went grocery shopping for the first time, I went into the health and wellness section because that's like the first part of the store. And I just love like supplements and things like that. And literally Gabe and I were like, we need everything in this store. And we had a time limit. So I had to put blinders on. I remember being like, because it's just like all these amazing products that we don't normally get. And they're all like these health remedies. There's like cordyceps and mushrooms and then 10 different types of collagens. And then I was like, oh my God, I need this for immune support. And then there's kids immune support. And I was just like, I want everything. And remember I came home and I told you, I was like, I want everything. And you're like, I want everything. I went in there, I want everything. And you're like, I live here. I see it all the time. I want everything. So it's kind of funny because I feel like I always want to just have my shelves stocked for just in case of versus like actually needing it when you need it type of base. And I feel like that's one of the times that kind of just like triggered my thought when you were saying.
Oh, because it's so challenging. I mean, I feel like we live in such a day and age. And when you're the kind of person like we are that are so invested in our health and wellness and in our growth, it's hard not to. But I think that the main focus should be straight away from like wanting more and wanting more products and more stuff to help us with that. And it's about following your intuition instead of following a fad. Or
exactly. So to frame today's episode, it's about following your intuition, like you just said, versus like always feeling like you kind of have to keep up and do this type of checklist. So let's start the convo. Let's get into it.
I know it's wrong, but I don't care.
Do you ever feel like wellness has become sort of like some kind of performance, like trying to optimize wellness? Or do you ever see that or feel that for yourself? Or is that something that I just do?
All the time. I feel like it's all the time. And what goes hand in hand with that is that when I feel like I'm not, then I feel an immense amount of guilt.
What do you mean?
Like if I'm like, okay, I'm sticking to this plan, or I'm gonna, now I'm gonna like have my fasting for 16 hours every day. And then on the days that I don't, or on the days that I, don't follow the plan that I had like set out for myself, I totally feel like I'm failing. But I think that all circles back to like why it's trusting the feeling of it. Like you tune into your body and feel what you need, because your body's going to tell you what you need, as opposed to
just doing it,
just sticking to the same regimented plan every single day because you feel like that's what you heard, that's what's best for you.
Well, I feel like now more than ever, we really live in this like culture that is all about biohacking. Like, listen, I love a good biohacking and I love a good health podcast. And just because also like my fiance is super into it. Mind you, he has like his own health journey with trying to figure out inflammation. So it's just like naturally part of his journey. So I'm exposed to it. And it's just so fascinating to really learn and understand the science behind the human body and why we are the way we are and why things happen. But I really see an emphasis more than ever in society now and on social media, biohacking and gadgets and macro micro trackers. And even like the health Apple Watch is like, oh, I have to do 10,000 steps today, or I did this. And we're like really kind of like tracking ourselves. And like you said, you feel guilty if you're not kind of meeting these things. So do you ever feel like you optimize your health in a way? Or like, how do you do that?
I mean, like Josh and I are massive culprits for like buying the next greatest thing. Like, oh, red light sauna. Yep. We're getting it.
Got it.
PMF mat. Yep. We're getting it.
Juve light, red light.
Got it.
Salts. Got it. Like anything. Yeah.
Like all the stuff. And now, granted, I maybe am not someone who like uses that stuff all the time, but Josh actually does. He uses it every day, which is impressive. But we do have it. We get it all because it's like, oh, the next greatest thing to like make you feel better and more youthful and have more energy and heal quicker and all these things.
Have you ever tracked something like, let's say, I guess the most common example I can think of is like when somebody's trying to lose weight or going into some sort of exercise system because
track your macros.
Yeah. Like, and did you ever find yourself being obsessive about those?
I've never
You've
done it.
never?
Never.
You're 1 in a million.
No.
Whoa.
Yeah, no. I have never tracked the macro. I feel like every single person that I know pretty much has.
Yeah.
To some degree. Female.
Well, I think that probably is more related to like a diet culture, lifestyle, rather than it. Would that fall in health and wellness? I guess diet and losing weight?
Absolutely. I mean, I
depends
think
the intention.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it depends on the intention.
Like if you really have to lose weight because like your knees cannot stand and your health and your life depends on it versus you need to lose weight and you're tracking your macros because you want to get a 6-pack or whatever it is you're doing.
Right.
But still the obsession can still lie in either approach, right?
Absolutely.
I would say for my own personal experience, as you know, I've had psoriasis for like 10 years this year, which is insane.
Wow.
And it's never, ever left my elbows. It's come and gone in other places of my body, but the elbows is like the consistent thing. And I've tried everything. So, I mean, like, if you give me a cream suggestion, I'll probably have tried it. But it really comes from the gut and from working with like traditional Chinese medicine and nutritionists and naturopaths and regular doctors and whatever. I have had to track my diet and my food to the point where it's become like an obsession. And I'm even now like on the animal-based diet, which I was vegan for like 10 years. And now I'm trying literally anything to kind of like to heal and figure out what's going on with my body. Only because for me, like this is a discomfort at this point.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've kind of gone past like the self-consciousness of it.
Yeah.
Like it's so funny too when people see my psoriasis on my knee, they're like, oh my God, what happened? I'm like, oh, it's psoriasis. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, and it's funny because my girlfriend, Lisa, she was like looking at it when someone was like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, do you know what psoriasis is? And he's like, no. Like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I keep forgetting it's there.
Thanks for your compassion.
Yeah, but that for me, I would say like that's something that's obsessive because I want to get back to my skin. I want to know what my elbows feel like without psoriasis on it. So I feel like for me, I have experienced that obsessiveness and tracking. And then there was a point where I was doing like this workout program too, and you have to really track your macros. So it's like
I remember that.
To see results, you have to be super strict and conditioned, and that becomes your life. Like food is such a part of our life. So if you're tracking every minute, every second of it, it's going to be a huge focus of your day.
And then like, is it really healthy?
Exactly.
It's like such a
counterintuitive
thing because you're doing something to try and be healthy. But when you become so obsessed and if it's consuming your energy and your life and your brain and your mind and everything, like, is it really that healthy? I think that's the big question. But I think more than anything too, like when these things are applied to women, it's completely different because of our 28-day cycle. And I think that because of our hormonal fluctuations, whether that be for a normal situation for a female that has somewhat of a 28-day cycle, or perhaps you're a female going through postpartum or breastfeeding, or you're pregnant or menopausal, or we have all these different stages of life and stages of the month that have a completely different hormonal effect. And so I think that that's also important, is that basing your health and wellness, whether that be diet, seed cycling, which we'll get into on another episode, but really tapping into where you're at hormonally with what you're consuming and how you're acting, like with your exercise and your decision making and all these other things. So I think that when it comes to being obsessed and tracking your health and wellness, when it comes to women, it is a little bit different than the standard program because of our hormonal changes that we also have to like kind of line ourselves up with.
Yeah. And I feel like without considering those points, it could actually lead you to feeling less healthy than seeing those results. Because it's just like, why doesn't this work for me? Or why am I so bloated still? Why am I carrying this water weight? Because also no bodies are the same. There's so many layers. And like we kind of touched upon, there's all these areas and facets and quadrants, like spiritual, physical, mental, emotional. You could be off in one area, which affects another area.
Yeah. It's all interconnected.
Yeah. And then you find yourself getting frustrated or defeated almost for not feeling your best, even though you're investing so much time and energy in this space to be your best.
Right.
At the best version I can think of is like this is going to be a huge topic, I think, down the road anyway, is like vegan lifestyle, plant-based lifestyle versus carnivore and animal-based lifestyle. Like, you know,
which is basically you and I, like I have a very different, not very different now. I've added more things to my diet, but like I haven't eaten meat for almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I was there. I was vegan for a very long time, like a decade.
Yeah.
Right. And anyway, that's another topic for another time.
But I think that the thing that we need to take away from this conversation as women is that we need to get back to intuitive wellness as opposed to following the next fad, following this new trend. I think that it's very much about getting more in touch with our bodies, because your body will talk to you. Your body will tell you what you need, whether that be eat more. Do you ever be like, oh,
well, explain what that feels like. What does it mean?
So, I mean, not talking about diet for a second, we were talking about this earlier today, and it's funny, Gabe, Danielle's fiance, we were just talking about this 20 minutes ago. But like as soon as I start to feel like I might be getting sick, like I'm just like, something doesn't feel quite right, like I might be getting sick. Of course, the first thing I do is like pump myself full of supplements. Yeah, I'm like ionic zinc, liposomal vitamin C, shit ton of water, so much vitamin D, like all these things. But
you're making me want to drink water.
It's because I think it's, and I swear, and then I completely slow down. Like as soon as I start to feel that way, I basically say to everyone in my house, I feel like I might be getting sick. I'm doing nothing for the next 24 hours.
That's so hard to do though.
It is. It's extremely hard. And I don't mean I'm doing nothing. Obviously I have 2 kids. I can't do nothing. But I mean like I'm not pushing myself beyond what is the basic necessities of the day. And I'm going to be the minute my kids go to bed, I'm having a shower or a bath and I'm going to bed.
Well, like that one time you said earlier today, we were talking about it. You were like, the one time I didn't listen to my body, I had the flu for 4 days.
Well, I had the flu for like 10 days, but I had a fever for 4 days. And it's because I didn't listen to myself. And I just kept pushing through because I was like, oh, I have so much to get done this week. I can't. And I pushed.
You just screw yourself over.
And then I screwed myself because then I couldn't do anything for a week. I was literally on the couch or in bed for 4 days. I could barely move. It was awful. But I've only been sick twice in the last 10 years.
That's impressive.
Knock on wood. But it's because I swear by this method of the minute that I start to feel like something might be coming on. I also feel very grateful. I feel like I am very in tune with my body. And that's been a practice that I've had to learn over time.
I was going to say that wasn't always the case.
No, definitely not. That's a practice that I've really had to learn over time. And I'm so grateful for the different things that I have, this skills and tools that I have acquired. But that's just an example of like how you can intuitively support your wellness as opposed to being like, oh, well, no, on my schedule, it says I have to go to the gym today and do, 3 sets of 12 squats with 215 pounds. Like, well, no, that's so not on
guilty for that.
That's not on the agenda today anymore because my body's telling me it's not.
Yes, I'm so guilty for that. Not in that specific example, but for instance, like I found this guy who does lymph node massages. I'm like, perfect. That's a 2-minute routine I can incorporate into my morning. And then Lisa, my sister-in-law, she's like, oh, she's doing these facial massages and it's all connected to energy, which we'll talk about another time. Energy in the face and the emotions and the muscles and releasing the jaws, and it gets the blood flowing. And I'm like, gotta add that into my morning routine too, every single day. And then on top of that, and then there's like, before I know it, I have like 10 things lined up that I want to do. And if I don't cross those things off, I'm like, oh man, I really want to find time for this and I'm not feeling fulfilled. And I'm checking these lists off that will improve my health and my body long term. But I'm definitely one to do that. So I think this kind of like connects us into our next segment of this, which is but even like something so simple I feel that you can do to get started on the journey of trying to get more in touch with yourself and find ways to be more in tune with your body so that you can hear what it's speaking to you is start with something super simple. Like every single day, whether you want to do it in a journal, ask yourself in the mirror, however you want to do it, every day, morning, night, whenever you think of it, however you want to do it. How is my body feeling today?
take a minute, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and like scan through your body. Like, okay, brain, eyes, mouth, throat, shoulder, like just do a full body scan and be like, how am I feeling today?
I'll add it to my list.
Yeah, add it to your list. But I'm just saying for anyone that like doesn't know where to get started, let's just say in terms of like, how do I tune into my body? How do I know what my body needs? Like you have to be conscious and be present, at least for a brief moment every day, and check in with yourself and check in with your physical body.
That is tough, because what if you find an answer you don't like?
Well, that's perfect. Are you kidding?
A little dry.
Okay,
some water.
That's perfect though, because how else do we grow as humans?
But that's, you know what? It's so interesting, because that's the irony of all of this, right? It's so easy to just bypass those signs from the body. And after listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger's audiobook, he was like, I never get sick because I don't have time to think about being sick. So I'm not going to be sick. And I was like, great. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm like, oh, I feel a throat tickle. Not sick. Gone to the world. I'm like, I have a cold and it's awful. Just need to sleep or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, that does not work for me. I cannot ignore. And it's almost like I'm waiting for that feeling to come on so I could ignore it. And you're like anticipating it, because you're like, I'm not going to acknowledge it. And it's almost like you're calling it in because you're so
you
stern.
are acknowledging it.
I am
by not acknowledging it.
I'm almost calling it in, but it's just kind of a funny irony where I was just like, oh, that makes sense why he's never sick. He just never allows himself to be sick. So I'll just never allow myself to get sick.
I get his method though, because I am like that. Like Aubrey will come home from school and I'm looking at her and I can see it in her eyes.
Yeah, like the
like
dark
all across here. She's like puffy and like doesn't look well. And I'm like, all right, that's fine, because you're going to be the only one in the household that's sick this week and next week, and it's all right. And I swear I manifest it.
Hey, dude, last year I had mono.
I know, for like 4 months.
Who gets mono? Like
in their mid 30s.
In their mid 30s. I'm like,
I mean mid 20s. I'm sorry.
I'm like, where would I get mono from? I don't even leave my house or my property. I'm such a homebody. Something. I didn't even know. And I was pregnant. So, I mean, like my immune system was lower than normal. Right. And I was just like, oh, my immune system is so strong. I'm going to ignore it. I had mono. I had a sinus infection. It lingered for like 12 weeks. It was just a brutal winter. And it was just such a wet, gray winter. I don't do well in the snow, you know. This year I did surprisingly well. But last year I was just sick for so long. And this year I said to myself, I was like, I am not going to get sick the way that I got last year. I'm going to do everything in my power. Because also too, when I was sick last year with the toddler, I would like sleep during his nap, and eventually I just surrendered. And I believe that's how I finally healed, because I would nap when he would nap. I would go to bed at like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and I have serious FOMO, and Gabe hates going to sleep, because as soon as the kids go to bed, you're like all night. Yeah. But anyway, this year, knock on wood, has been amazing, because there has been times, Wilder's been sick like 2 or 3 times, and Gabe and I are like, buckle up. Vitamins. That's when we supplement and like really kick up the vitamin D and stuff. Whereas before I would just supplement to prevent and avoid. Right. Versus like even, back to my story at the beginning of this episode, going into Sprouts and being like, I want to get everything. But then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to trust that my body knows what to do. I don't need any of it. I don't need ginkgo biloba. I don't need these mushroom cordyceps. I don't need these things. The only thing I got was the honey, the bee pollen honey for the kids. Because the kids were starting to get sick. They were, And I mean, like, that was the first time they were together from different countries and all this stuff. So, and we were kicking off into this whole realm of working with each other. So anyway, just a funny journey. Yeah, it is a funny journey. It's a great journey to be on. So I do feel like a major takeaway from all of this is that wellness is more about connection and connecting to yourself and your body, and not so much about control. Yes. Like, because if you truly connect, then it will go smoothly. The more you try to control it, the more it's going to become unmanageable. But what do you think about like cold plunges is a huge fad, right? And we live by the lake in Ontario in the winter, and there's always a hole there waiting, and a hole. Because in the lake, my neighbors love to go cold plunging, and Gabe loves it, and he tries to convince me to go. And last year I had an excuse because I was freshly pregnant. I was like, it'll shock the baby. Even though I see women who are pregnant doing it, I'm like, wow. Yeah. I'm just like, I'm not one for cold.
Yeah.
But I do believe in its health benefits. I
Yeah.
think that's just like is something to talk about in depth with like experts in their own.
Yeah.
But is that something you think that you would, you have a cold plunge?
I've done.
Is that something
tons
you
of cold
indulge in
plunging.
every day or would indulge every day?
I think that yes and no. No, because I hate the cold. So for me, it's always like, it's like going to the gym. Well, not for me. I like going to the gym, but I think a lot of people, getting there is the hardest part. Mm-hmm. And that's what, Josh cold plunges every single night. And I'm always like, oh, but then as soon as I jump in and I'm in there, because we do it in the winter, we do it in our pool because it's so frigid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this isn't even that bad.
Yeah.
And then I feel so good after.
So good.
I do. I feel great after. But that's why I think that like, it's not to say, and this discussion, just to clarify, like this is not to say that all of the health modalities are insignificant or they don't work or don't do anything and you'll be fine forever.
It's not that they don't improve your immunity.
No.
I
think it's just about like listen to your body and then follow suit. Like listen to your body and let your body take the lead, because the more you tune into your body, I think that there's a bajillion health modalities and techniques and things that you can do and take and supplement and bring into your life on a daily basis, on a regular basis, that is definitely going to help you and improve your health to some degree. But I think that, just like I said, it's about connection and not control. The more you try to control it and force it into your schedule, even when your body's kind of like, ugh. But it's a catch-22, because some days I'm like, ugh, I really don't want to. And then I do it and I'm like, oh, I do feel better. So I think it's just a matter of, really tuning into that intuition as much as you can.
My intuition says don't do it. It's too cold.
It's too cold. I know, but your brain, I don't know. It's a balance.
It's a balance
just like everything else in life.
Yeah.
It's a balance.
Yeah. Balance between peer pressure and enjoyment for me. When often losing a bet or a game is roll around in the snow in your bikini, and I've yet to fulfill that.
That sounds miserable.
It is miserable.
I saw your sister do it.
Yeah, she lost a bet.
Your dad?
Well, it was at Christmas when we all had dares and you had to pull, and hers was to roll in the snow. My dad had written that one.
Right. Ugh.
She's a trooper. She wins MVP every time.
She does.
Yeah.
She's group one. Anyway, but I mean, to move into the next part of it, I think that it's not just about detoxing your body when it comes to wellness. And it's not just about the wellness surrounding your physical self, but it's also about detoxing the mind.
Oh my God, it's such a great line, Briana.
And in so many ways.
Yeah.
I think that, detoxing the mind from what we're talking about right now, which is like the belief that if I do more, I will live forever.
Be more.
Right. If I cold plunge and red light therapy and sauna and breath work and tapping
immortality is like the thing being
then
sold
I'll
these
live
days.
until I'm 500. And it's like, well, then are you how much life are you living though? If all
this
your
is
focus
is that's just why I'm like, is wellness really making you well?
So I think that we really need to focus more on detoxing our lives and not just our bodies, and I think that tuning into your intuition in a way that is mind and body and soul, and filtering through your life and checking out the areas that you need to detox, as opposed to just honing in and focusing on I need to follow this program, I need to keep up with this daily regimen, but maybe look elsewhere, because everything is interconnected, like we've been saying. So if your energy is off, if your mind is off, your body's going to be off. So where else can we detox? Let's change the scope from such a narrow place, being in the physical, to such a broader scope of being all encompassing. So,
it's not going to be just a green juice that makes you healthy. It's going to be your mindset. It's going to be boundaries that you set. It's going to be the way you think, who you surround yourself with. It's going to be.
Who do you follow on
social
media? What are you feeding your mind? What are you watching in your downtime? Is it The Real Housewives? Or, is it something educational or uplifting or just makes your heart feel good? I'm not saying you need to cut everything out. No one's perfect. No one's going to, cut all the bullshit out of their life. But I do believe that the more you can detox your life, not just your body will see the results. Everything will see the results.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it's all connected, detoxing who you surround yourself with and detoxing the products that you use in your life too, because so many times in our life, we don't even really think about not just like what we're ingesting, because that's a very prominent, loud,
easy to grasp concept, I think.
Yeah.
Because that saying goes like, you are what you eat.
Yeah. Fast food's bad.
Right.
Green juice, good.
Right.
But like you said, it also goes for like social media, who you're following, what their core messaging is, and makeup, what you're wearing on your skin, what you're putting on your skin, in your skincare, your toothpaste, your deodorant, your personal care, your cleaning products,
your children's products,
your clothing. That's a huge one for me lately, because I love clothes and I have so many, and not very many of them are healthy, but I'm just like, other than I think the biggest swap I personally made this year was like my underwear. With the clothing swap.
Same
just,
actually.
Like, really realizing you're wearing that against you all day, every day. And like bras, getting rid of underwire. Even when you're on your period, like eliminating tampons, because I grew up using tampons and not even really questioning it. And I didn't want to
toxic.
It just felt like it was cleaner, and you didn't spill over. And it took me a while to get used to pads, which I use like organic pads now. But even still, like, when you're starting to bleed, you're like, oh, this feels so weird. It feels so dirty. I need to change.
Yeah.
But it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's no different than when you start using it in the first place. Like, it always takes used to. And then once you make those swaps, I mean, it can be very overwhelming, because it's like a very saturated space.
And I think that, baby steps. Like, nobody's asking you to change your life and every single thing about yourself and your lifestyle overnight. But maybe tonight you scroll through Instagram and unfollow some people. Maybe tomorrow you start reading the ingredients on the products you use. Maybe in a couple weeks you start checking the labels in your clothing. And no, nobody can afford to like swap over and adjust their whole life overnight. I shouldn't say nobody, but you know what I mean? But it's like small baby steps is how you're going to achieve it. Patience is key in a process to change. Patience is key in your process to change. You cannot do it overnight. So be gentle with yourself.
Yeah. So what if health was, instead of really looking at health as a trend, it's kind of just like acknowledging and recognizing that it is actually a lot more quiet than that.
Yeah.
And in that quietness is where you'll actually hear those messages and find those spaces. Like it's these subtle differences that you can make, which will make long-term changes.
For sure.
And effects and connection to the body, because that's what it all wraps back around to becoming more connected to your body, because it's going to tell you. Just a matter of how do we listen and what are the signals that it's going to give us. And they're very subtle, some large.
Yep.
But most of the time it's quite subtle.
And I think that what you're adding into your routine and adding into your body is equally as important as to what you're removing. I think that it carries just as much weight. Whatever you choose to bring into your life in one degree or another is going to be just as impactful and important as the things that you decide to remove. So keep that in mind as well.
I think that the real flex in the wellness space is learning how to slow down and being okay with it, like feeling safe.
For sure.
And allowing yourself to slow down. Because like we talked about previously, we live in such a hustle, bustle worthy culture that really prioritizes progress and showing up.
Yeah.
And productivity.
Yeah.
And being able to do the slow things and take that slow time is almost harder than it is to just like show up and do the things.
Right.
Which is so interesting.
Much energy, because there's so much energy behind it.
There is, yeah.
But I do feel, like we've been saying on every other episode, essentially slow, intentional growth is what it's all about. You have to have the intention going into something. You have to have patience and give yourself grace. And the slow, intentional growth is what's going to get you there. So you know, this is just our perspective. These are just our examples, but we would love to hear like what baby steps you're taking. What baby steps do you feel like are actually easy for you to implement in your life? Whether it is unfollowing someone on Instagram, or, you know, waking up and drinking water before coffee, or, you know, whatever those small changes are that you're doing in your life, we would love to hear, because we're also, I think, always looking for tips from like-minded women and people on how we can also continue to detox our own lives in certain ways. So whatever feedback, suggestions, or, you know, routines that you guys decide to implement, we would love to hear your feedback and hear your suggestions, and maybe something that's worked for you along the way, because it might help someone else. And I think ultimately that's what we're after here, is building the community so that we can all impact each other and help each other grow and optimize our lives to feel healthier, happier, and cleaner.